Hey everyone, this is Jeff Lund, the host of the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast. Make sure you rate and review so more people can stumble upon what you have. In addition to the podcast, my wife and I have been adding a bunch more about living in Southeast Alaska on our website, themediocrealaskan.com. There you can read about hunting, fishing, foraging, gardening, our adventures building our home, and order my book, A Miserable Paradise. Thanks again and enjoy this episode. Welcome back to the podcast. I have Rich Krupa on today. Thanks for being on here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeff.
So I wanted to have you on here, former enemy coach, when you were coaching at Sitka for the girls JV, and I was the Ketchikan girls JV. We had some battles.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so,
We had some great battles, JV and varsity.
so I wanted to have you on to talk about that, and then also about going to school, growing up in Alaska, and then going to school for college in state. So where did you grow up? Were you up interior North Pole area?
Yeah, I grew up in North Pole, Alaska, 1989.
How was that compared to? Because you lived in Sitka for a while, and that's where your daughter Zoe went to school. How was the basketball life in the interior versus the southeast?
I don't know. When we grew up together, it was basketball all the time, and seems like it's more pushed, individualized sports now than it was then. I played soccer and basketball and played football and ran track, and we were pushed to do other activities. So I think it's a little bit more in Southeast, pushed, but there's a few more advantages growing up there in the interior.
What was the conference in up there at your point in time? It was you, Lathrop, West Valley. Who else did you play?
I believe that was the four of us. And I think Monroe was in there too, because we always played them and we always played Eielson. I know Eielson was 3A, but I think Monroe was 4A at the time. And then maybe they dropped down to 3A. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think they were 4A.
So most of the stuff that you did by, like, your travel was driving.
Yeah, we took buses everywhere, and we'd go to Anchorage, and it was a big coach van and our bus, and then sometimes when we went to state my junior year, we flew down to Juneau, and then we flew down to Ketchikan too. So yeah, those places.
Yeah. So what was the difference, like when you're coaching and all of a sudden you're responsible for getting, or you're part of the responsible party in getting girls to the airport on time, and then traveling and staying in hotels and things like that? How was that as a coaching adjustment?
That was, it wasn't, it just depends on how good your AD is and how much they're willing to do for you. And ours was pretty good at the time. And, we'd send out our stuff. We didn't really have text messages and stuff. So it was all paper, and you would, okay, we're going to be at the airport at this time. We had to have good communication with the parents and make sure the papers got home. And the AD was great by making the airfare and booking us to where we need to be and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think back to the amount of hassle that it had to have been to be an AD back in the day. Now things, I think, are probably easier because you can book everything online. You get confirmation codes and do all that sort of stuff. But, man, back then it had to have been just, I guess you didn't have a frame of reference, but, man, that had to have been pretty crazy to put all that stuff together.
Yeah, I think it was pretty tough because everything was they did everything by fax, and all that stuff was done by fax machine, and phone calls, and it was a little paper tickets, so it was quite a bit different.
Mm. So you're a senior at North Pole, and you're thinking about where you're going to go to college. How did you end up at Sheldon Jackson in Sitka?
Well, I had offers down south. One of them was St. Mary's, and John Levitt was down there, and he was a big-time player out of Juneau at the time, and we traveled on AAU team, and he wasn't getting a lot of time at the time, and so kind of discouraged me from there. And then Fairbanks, I was all my friends were up there, and they weren't really getting a lot of time. APU offered me a scholarship, and so did SJ, and so I don't know. APU was a good choice. I just chose SJ. It's far enough away from the parents, and I liked hunting and I liked fishing.
Yeah. There's when I have kids who want to be, or students who want to go to college and want to play sports, and I say one of the good questions you have to ask yourself is, do you want to go to college to play, or do you want to go to college to be part of a program? So that could be the difference between looking at maybe walking on at a bigger school for a bigger environment, or choosing a smaller school where you actually want to play. My brother walked down at George Washington University, and they won 2 Atlantic 10 championships. So a kid from Prince of Wales Island in southeast Alaska, like, he's not a major player, but he was totally fine with just being part of the team, part of the program, and then going in, for a couple seconds at the end of games, kind of being that Rudy type person. Did you think about like being part of a larger school but not playing as much? It sounds like you just wanted to just play.
Yeah, no, I didn't really think about it very much. I didn't think, I was like, the biggest thing for me was who was offering me the most money, to be honest. I wanted to go where I'd come out of school with the least amount of debt. And if I played, there was, after my sophomore year at SJ, I talked with UAF and they wanted me to come back, but I weighed the options of adding another year of school or just being done in 4 years. So I just stuck around and did my 4 years at this school. And, I think I could have played at APU quite a bit. And UAA was a different place, and a lot of Alaska kids at the time. Probably not got as much time, but they were all kids that I competed against in high school. So I knew where I stood. But no, the biggest thing for me was, where was the money? And that's the bottom line was for me was who was going to give me the most money and how much debt was I going to come out of college with.
Yeah. How would you compare the quality of player now? You said that, and it's obvious when I was coaching down in California, I saw it too. Like so many kids were pushed to play year round, and programs had to go year round because if you didn't, you weren't going to be successful. You couldn't be competitive if you didn't have a summer program. So you had to have these kids getting up so many shots. So in some cases that made kids a lot better. In other cases, it just kind of made them resent the sport. So what would be some of the differences you've seen as far as basketball players in Alaska go between when you played in college here and the kids that are playing in college now from in-state?
Yeah, it just seems like, a lot of them are bigger, faster, and stronger. I mean, we did the weights, we did the shots, but, it seems like they have a lot more game experience. We'd go down south in the summertime, do a camp and then do a tournament or two, and that was it with AAU. And it wasn't as big then as it is now, and fundamental skills were spent more time on those, I believe, back when we played than they are now. It just depends on who's the coach, actually. So, and, what program you came through and what you usually coach, how you were coached. So what you do to your program is how you were coached. So I don't know. I think their kids they're pretty athletic now, and they have a lot more skills, and their dribbling skills, I don't know, seem to be okay. So it's hard to say.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of an old guy question, I guess. Do you think that the proliferation of social media has impacted things? I know that there are some players who they're friends with, and they follow people in different towns, and so you might not have that same rivalry where you did before, where it was just we hate these people and we're going to get after it now. Since you're all friends, maybe you don't push it. Or they're seeing a whole bunch more of Steph Curry taking shots from half court, and so they start doing that. Have you seen any sort of negative impact of YouTube, social media, things like that, connecting players, unlike when you were in high school?
Yeah, all we got to watch was the NBA on Saturday or Sunday, depending where you were, and Canadian hockey up there on the Canadian channel. So, but nowadays everybody's on social media. That you're seeing all this stuff. Kids are trying all these different things. People are posting their stats. People are posting when they're in middle school and junior high, and just trying to get their kids seen. And yeah, I think it's I think it's a little detrimental to the game of basketball, because kids are looking. I mean, kids looked at stats before, but now we're looking at how many points were scored more than how many deflections, how many rebounds, or steals, those little things. And again, that goes back to how your coach is coaching the program, I think.
Yeah, that idea of being seen is such a huge one. You see these when I was down in California, I saw these AAU teams that promised you, game time minutes on a really cool jersey, and you'd get exposure. And other times it was just a nice jersey, and that was about it. Or they'd promise to put together some sort of tape, or you're going to have reel, and you have these organizations now, and they'll put together game film for you. But I don't know if like you're hitting 3-pointers in a game, in the fourth quarter of a game, you're down 20 points. Like, yeah, you look good, but it's against this team that's not very strong. Like, is that really worth your monthly subscription or whatever you paid to have this highlight reel put together? I don't
I agree with you. I mean, and when you're being recruited by colleges, they honestly like to see. They don't like to see those highlight tapes. They like to see the whole game. And that's the biggest. And there's so many of those recruiting places out, like NCSA is out, and they'll give you 3 video uploads. They'll put your stats on there. But a lot of colleges look at that, and if they're interested, they'll reach out to you. But they really like to see those full games and how you are as a competitor and how you hustle and how you're on the bench and what your demeanor is on the floor. So, back when we were in school, you just sent out your VHS tape with a couple games.
Yeah. So how was it when Zoe was being recruited? Did you do things on her behalf? Because she was playing in state, did she kind of get her, did people come down at state and watch her play? How did her recruiting go?
It went pretty good. We used the site NCSA, and we knew that by your sophomore, we traveled out of state in the summertime to some tournaments. We didn't spend a lot of money because our philosophy in our family is you're going to do as much as you can in high school and enjoy it. So I believe she was a well-rounded athlete. But we spent the money. We put videos on. Teams from the East Coast, Division III schools, really are on that NCSA. And then the West Coast schools started communicating with us. It's a great form to get recruited. Plus, I knew a lot of coaches and had coaches reach out and talk to me. I mean, UAA coach came and watched her play at ACS tournament. UAF coaches, the different ones, came and watched her at state tournaments. And then the NWAC, a lot of the schools saw her video clips on that NCSA, and so they reached out and communicated with her. So,
did you have any sort of input? Were you saying, "Hey, just stay here, go there," or was it pretty much Zoe, you make up this decision yourself?
It was kind of her. It was her decision. We just wanted her to go. We actually pushed her the junior college route first. I mean, she had offers at Fairbanks. She had one down in California, but we said, you need to see if you love the game. It's a full-time job. It's a full-time commitment, and with your education. And so she went down to junior college at North Idaho and did really well down there. And then after 2 years, she was recruited by UAF, and she went up and finished there. So no, we didn't. She could have gone wherever she wanted to. It came down to North Idaho, Walla Walla Community College down there. And then there was one other one. There was another one that 1 year Walla Walla won the conference championship down there. And then the next year, the other group won it. So, but she always got to go to the tournament, and she enjoyed it and realized it was a full-time job. When she got down to junior college, they started, I think we got August 27th. We went down there. They were doing a fundraiser. Well, that's when they started, and it went all the way till April, and so she realized it is a full-time job, and it is a very long season, and she did get burnt out at times, but pushed through it. So
how did she like having such a Alaska-filled roster? Caitlin Pusich from Juneau was up there, and I think they had, was it Ellen Silva? She's also from Fairbanks. She went to West Valley. How did she like playing with familiar kids that were also from Alaska?
She loved it. I mean, the first 2 years she played at NIC, there were no Alaska kids. There was a girl from Barrow at Spokane, and there was another girl from Wasilla, a couple different places there, but nobody was at her school. And she saw how the ball was different. The teams in Alaska are a little bit more, or southeast, I would say, or more team oriented, and the team down there was a little bit more looking out for themselves, maybe to move on. And then her next year was no more Alaska kids. And then when she moved up to Fairbanks, she loved it. She got to play with Kylie Wallace from Petersburg. She got to play with a guard from Anchorage that she loved. There was quite a few. And then this year she had what's her name from ACS?
Destiny?
Yeah, Destiny was up there. Got to play with Destiny. And those guys were big time rivalries, from high school and state championships. And then she got to play with Pearl Green. She got to play with, like you said, Caitlin Pusich. Great friendships, really close. Loved playing with Alaska kids. They're very close. They're very similar in how they play. Team first more than individual.
Was it like an instant melting away of, like, I don't know, previous rivalry or something like that? Because wasn't I don't know what year it was. I was still coaching. We're up at the state championship. ACS was really good. Destiny was on that team, right? It was ACS and Sitka, and ACS won pretty handily, but Sitka battled. Was it just kind of an instant dissolving of rivalries?
I think so. They were. I believe they were Facebook friends or Twitter friends and social media friends. So they followed each other, and they both had to sit out the COVID year, so that bonded them a little bit closer. And so I believe so. Her and Caitlin are great friends, and Kylie, and they see everybody. But yeah, the rivalry, once they put on the same uniform, they were good. So yeah, and Ellen Silva's, she's tough. She's from West Valley. They got a good little roster up there. There's a girl from Lathrop that plays up there in the post too. So they had a good Alaska connection up there.
As a coach, as you transitioned to being down in Sitka, like, what were some of the biggest things that influenced you to want to coach, and then being a coach in Southeast? How did that go?
I just, I always wanted to be a teacher, and I always wanted to give back. I had some awesome teachers in my high school and middle school career up in North Pole. I mean, great friends, people I talk to still today, and they really influenced me in a positive way. And I always wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to give back something that I love and something I could share. And so that's why I became a coach. And, you go through your growing pains, and, we were the small school playing against Ketchikan, Juneau, and you learn. We competed, we battled, and the kids keep you young, and they're fun to be around. And, coaching girls basketball is awesome. They give you everything they have. And then once we're done, off the floor, it's like, yeah, let's have some fun, so it was just a lot of fun coaching girls, and you can't ever complain about their effort.
Yeah. One of the transitions for me, because I coached boys basketball for 10 years in California, then I came up here and I was helping with Kelly, just how quick they can go from that. Like, as soon as they're out of the locker room, it's back to being kids again and having fun. And I was kind of used to the whole bus ride back being with angry dudes who were upset because of how they played. And then now it was like, oh, dang, the game is over. We didn't play very well. I'm frustrated. And then, hey, let's go to the mall. Hey, let's, eat some food. Hey, let's, order pizza. And I'm like, do we not care? And so part of the adjustment was me just like, no, they really care, but it's just not their entire life. And it was kind of a difficult thing. Well, JV too, because you're talking about freshmen and sophomores. But like to mistake the post-game demeanor for not caring was one of the errors that I made early. And we had some good kids, and they clearly cared, but they just got over it pretty quick.
Yeah, they just, the only thing that, if there was just a grudge between somebody, that's about the only thing that they held on for a while. But
Yeah.
other than that, same with the boys. When I coached the boys C and JV squad here in Sitka, you could push them, and you know, you win some, you lose some, and you can dwell on it for a little bit, but you're stuck in the room with them for the next 2 days, or on the ferry for the next 3 days, and it's like, yeah, we got to get over it. So let's
Yeah.
go do something stupid.
What's have you had some close memories? We're in March Madness here and region tournaments and whatnot. Do you have some just heartbreaking defeats or some epic wins that stick out in your mind? And then how did you coach through them?
Yeah, we did pretty well there for a while when we dropped down to 3A, and we finished third in state 3 years in a row, and we always had to play Barrow, and Barrow and ACS were always on our side, and so we'd get to the second round, we'd win the first round, and we'd play one of them, and we'd battle, and then we'd beat the next team. But that I think it was 2012, maybe. We beat Barrow, then we beat ACS, and we made it to the championship game, and we lost one of our spark plugs, in the ACS game the previous night, and we led the whole game. We missed one free throw the whole night, and held the state player of the year to like 3 points, and they came down with, I want to say, 36 seconds to go, and hit a three-pointer from the logo. We're still up by two. We threw the ball. I didn't take a timeout because we didn't need to. We were going to advance it. They were going to foul us, and threw the ball in. And one of my guards was dribbling, and the ref called travel, and so they got the ball out on the baseline, and we they threw it in, rotated. They left a great shooter open in the corner, so Soraya, my big girl, went out to try to block it. The girl shot it, bounced on the rim, and state player of the year at the Buchanan jumped up, grabbed the rebound, put it in as time was running out, and we tied it, went to overtime, and this is a state championship game, and then we scored the first point and just ran out of gas, and it was a heartbreaking. We led literally the whole game besides the last, till overtime, or the last 15.
Yeah, it sounds still pretty fresh. It's 10 years old, but
oh yeah, I got it. It's like it's you put in that time. You put in the time with the girls. It was a great group, and in Southeast, you peak and go down in those valleys sometimes when you have kids come through, and we put in a lot of time with that group, and it was a great game, and they beat us in overtime, and it takes a long time to get over, but then 3 years later we won the state championship with my daughter playing, and it was probably one of the greatest experiences. We came into Southeast region as the number that was Petersburg, Mount Edgecombe, Sitka. Was it just us three schools, I think, at the time? Yeah. And we were the number 3 seed, and we'd lost to Petersburg 4 times all year, lost to Mount Edgecombe 3 times, and we won on a last-second layup by Sid Riggs over Mount Edgecombe, and then we beat Petersburg 2 times in that tournament to go to state. And Petersburg and Mount Edgecombe were both phenomenal teams, and we just got peaked at the right time, and then won all of our games at state and beat Valdez again for a state championship. So it was a lot of fun, and then doing it with your daughter on the team. And that group of girls, my wife and I went to camps and brought them in middle school up to Anchorage, down to Snow Valley, California. We brought them to Spokane. We just put a lot of time in with them, and it pays big dividends.
How often do you have to adjust to the team? Because you can have your system and you have your values and you have all that, but you also have to kind of adjust to the character of the team. How do you do that year in, year out, and how much do you have to be aware and a good people person, be able to read the vibe of the team?
Well, as a coach, you want to treat everybody the same, but not all kids are the same. So you as a coach have to realize that I can get on this person, I can't get on this. But as long as you're consistent and you're fair to the kids, they'll believe in your system and they'll do what you ask them to do, and they'll give you their best effort all the time. So it's always, and some groups are smarter than others, and some groups, you just use that KISS system. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. So how does that impact locker room after a devastating defeat?
Uh, like like we said before, food solves everything. In girls basketball, we're bummed, but I mean the kids. I mean we shot we missed our last free throw with 26 seconds to go. We missed one free throw. I can't complain. The kids battled we played 8, 9 kids. They battled. There's nothing you can do. You go in the locker room and everybody's devastated. It's like, let's go to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
let's go ice skate. Let's take our mind off it. It was heartbreaking, but there's other things that are more important in life, and we talked about that. And you try to move on, but it sticks with you for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a difference between losing a game and being a loser. So just because you got outscored doesn't mean that you're a loser. And on the flip side of that, just because you win doesn't mean you're a winner. You could be an absolute punk. You just happen to score more points. And
yeah. It just happens to be your day that day, and who knows what they have, but yeah, and you're molding the youth, and you want them to be competitive, but you want them to be good sport, so, that's shaking hands at the end of the game and then going cheering. But yeah, on social media, you can pull up those games anytime you want now.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
So what's next on the what does the future look like for you in Sitka there? What's going on?
I got I'm the athletic director now, so I'm really enjoying that. I'm at the gym, and we're really getting lots of games and activities for the kids here in town, and all of our programs are pretty successful and have great coaches. And so I have 24 years in. Next year is my 25th year of teaching. So I don't plan to retire, but I really, really miss coaching, but I just can't do it in this athletic director position, so, and then my daughter, she's graduating in May. And so to see what she came down and officiated basketball this year, she might be getting into that, and who knows? So
she officiated, huh?
Yeah, she officiated our Christmas tournament. Actually, she was one of the referees that was selected for the 1A tournament, but due to she was playing in the GNAC finals, she couldn't make that tournament. So that was kind of a bummer for her.
I cannot even imagine being a referee. I would never, ever want it. Would you ever be a referee? Or would you think there would be so much bad karma that would come back to you for all your days as a coach that it wouldn't be worth it?
No, I've actually officiated quite a bit this year.
Really?
Because, around Southeast, the numbers are down.
Yeah.
I did a lot of C and JV, and then the last week of the season, I actually did the Sitka Mount Edgecombe varsity game. It was a great game. The kids play hard. It's a lot more physical than I remember as a player and also as a coach. It was, but I had a great time with it. The year after I stepped down from coaching, I officiated in Southeast, and it was a lot of fun, and got selected for the tournament that one year in Ketchikan. So it was fun. I enjoy it. It's about letting the kids play, and calling a foul is a foul, and talking with the coaches and let them bark at you a little bit. But I think a lot of coaches have mutual respect for you as a coach, as a referee. They know the game. You're not going to hose them. So, yeah, I actually really enjoy it.
Do you think former coaches make better officials? Not to say that if you're not a former coach, you can't be an official, but do you think that kind of helps out with things, or is it almost a detriment because you kind of get caught up in it?
No, I don't know. It just depends on what type of coach you are, or if you were a player and you got to look at certain areas on the floor. I think you're more aware of things, maybe things that, you're like, you don't need to be. Yeah, I don't know. It's like you don't have to be a college player or a super great basketball, play college ball to be a great coach. You can become a great coach, I think, without being, a good player or playing college. So it's not as easy, but I think people have done it in the past.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being on here, Rich. Really appreciate it. Good catching up a little bit. I kind of miss our rivalry a little bit. Not enough to get me back coaching again. And sounds like you're pretty busy with AD, so it's not going to happen anyway. I'll just take the final win between us that was here. I got the last one, my JV win over Rich Krupa. That my last year coaching. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks, man. Again, appreciate it, and congratulations to you and your wife raising Zoe. And sounds like she had a great career coaching or playing, and now going to move on.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. It's always fun talking with you, and need to see you up at state doing your dance moves again.
Yeah, definitely retired from that. You talk about social media, things living on social media, that thing's out there.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, take care, man.
Oh, bye.